Welcome, one and all, to International Day to End Violence Against Sex Workers 2020. My name is Dr. Raven Bowen, and I am the CEO of National Ugly Mugs, Numb for short. Numb was founded in 2012 as a network of national practitioners who developed a mechanism for documenting and sharing harms against sex workers to reduce violence. Today, we are more sex worker centered. We provide victim support and violence prevention services to adult industry workers who seek healing and justice from both within and beyond police and courts. Our mandate is to end violence against sex workers, and with them we seek redress for violence, for discriminatory policy and practice, and for other harms. I am well aware of the fact that I run a charity that shouldn't exist and only does because the system is inadequate to serve the needs of sex working victims of crime. Due to stigma, social exclusion, and criminalization, sex workers experience barriers that make the criminal legal system pathway untenable at times, and perpetrators take full advantage of the subjugated positions of sex workers and the limited social and legal protections that they experience, not only in the UK, but around the world. The first International Day to End Violence Against Sex Workers was in 2003. It was a memorial service for the victims of the Green River Killer, who I will not name, but who targeted sex workers and was convicted of murdering 49 women, although he confessed to almost 80. I remember this event vividly. It was transformative for sex workers, activists, and practitioners at the time, and remains so. International Day to End Violence Against Sex Workers has grown into a global event where sex workers and allies took to the streets and now to virtual spaces, alone or en masse, to remember those who have been murdered and to mark our dead. Too often, people can name the men who murdered sex workers, but they can't name a single victim. And in 2018, Numb set out to change this. We developed memorial cards sharing the names of murdered sex workers who we could safely list. This is our Say Their Names campaign, and it raises awareness of the 184 plus sex workers who have been murdered in the UK since 1990. Many of us have lost people over the decades, and today is an opportunity for us to grieve and draw strength from each other to carry on the fight against violence, which starts with putting an end to marginalisation. We must include sex workers in our neighbourhoods, in our community groups, as part of support organisations, in political advocacy, and at our policy tables, in research and knowledge creation, and in strategies for pandemic response, and most importantly, in violence prevention work, not superficially, but meaningfully, as we would for any other distinct community. We ask that everyone observe December 17th. It is a Memorial Day. It is not nationally recognized, but we hope to change that. If you're an organization that is not sex worker led on social media, please be mindful that this is a memorial and hold space for sex workers to share their messages and promote their activities and do their calls to action. We honor the sex workers who lost their lives, and we send love to their families and their kin. We miss you every day. May you rest in power.
Hello, my name's Kerry. I'm the Chief Operations Officer here at National Ugly Mugs, Numb, and I've been with the charity for 10 years in its mission to end violence against sex workers. But today, it's not my name that I need to say, and that's because today is the International Day to End Violence Against Sex Workers, a day where sex workers and allies from around the world come together to remember those who've lost their lives. And so today, we must say their names. Due to stigma and marginalisation, sex workers experience extraordinary levels of violence that at times can lead to the loss of most precious lives. Sex workers are valued members of our communities who contribute and enrich the lives of others as parents, as carers, and as companions. And so today, Numb will tweet the names of sex workers who've lost their lives, and we invite you to say their names. We also ask that you share the memorial card with others so they too can join and remember these precious lives that have been lost needlessly. This year we've also invited people we'd like to recognise as raising awareness to the plight of sex workers and contributing to ending all forms of violence against them. Some of them are sex workers and others take their place as allies. Throughout the year, Numb receive reports of crime and harm against sex workers, and we support them to heal and recover in their trauma. Every sex worker who reports to Numb engages in a selfless act to warn others in their communities so they can stay safe and so that new names are not added to the memorial card. 184 sex workers are listed to date, and there are many more whose names we don't include in order to protect their identities. If you know of a sex worker who's not listed today, when you say their names, please let us know so that we can remember them all. Nobody will be left out. To all the sex workers, rest in power.
Michelle Lester, Arminda Highkinnerton Clwyd, Patricia London, Gail Wolverhampton. Say their names.
Glenda Rochester, Susan London, Christina Manchester, Janine Wolverhampton. Say their names.
Lynn Chester, Julie Leeds, Sarah London, Sharon London. Say their names.
Barbara Coventry, Diane Glasgow, Yvonne Bradford, Natalie Norwich. Say their names.
Fiona, Doncaster. Samo, Birmingham. Janet, Sheffield. Tracy, Stoke-on-Trent. Say their names.
Mandy, Essex. Emma, Oxford. Sabrina, Luton. Leona, Glasgow. Say their names.
Dawn, Sheffield. Emma, Stoke-on-Trent. Julie, Liverpool. Marina, London. Say their names.
Christine, Walthamstow. Maureen, Bradford. Marjorie, Glasgow. Laura, Hove. Say their names.
Marie, Coventry. Sally, Swindon. Christine, Edinburgh. Daniela, Northampton. Say their names.
Angela, Bolton. Jackie, Glasgow. Lucy, Walsall. Caroline, Bradford. Say their names.
Karen, Hull. Robin, London. Christine, Nottingham. Samantha, Hull. Say their names.
Sharon, Liverpool. Tracy, Glasgow. Hannah, Middlesex. Margot, Glasgow. Say their names.
Hayley, Hull. Janet, Manchester. Julie, Manchester. Natalie, Hull. Say their names.
Christine, London. Marcella, Wolverhampton. Mandy, London. Bexy, London. Say their names.
Katie, Reading. Mara, Hurstbourne, Tarrant. Vicky, Liverpool. Sarah, Northampton. Say their names.
Gemma, Bradford. Kelly, Norwich. Damien, Manchester. Kelly, Middlesbrough. Say their names.
Zoe, London. Nicola, Stoke-on-Trent. Monica, Huddersfield. Paula, London. Say their names.
Dawn, Plymouth. Tracy, Nottingham. Rebecca, Bradford. Adele, London. Say their names.
Callie, Bolton. Maria, Hull. Michaela, Sheffield. Sally, London. Say their names. Say their names.
Hayley, Norwich. Michelle, Norwich. Amy, West Dunbartonshire. Joanna, Glasgow. Say their names.
Rachel, Middlesbrough. Donna, Middlesbrough. Danielle, Bolton. And Rita, King's Cross. Please say their names.
Julie, Hackney. Katrina, Sheffield. Bridget, London. Elizabeth, London. Say their names.
Becky, Bristol. Janet, London. Oksana, London. Hanaine, Liverpool. Say their names.
Lisa, London. Pauline, Liverpool. Angela, Bournemouth. Sarah, Middlesbrough. Say their names.
Nadine, Bristol. Joanne, Renton. Cara, Ipswich. Alicia, Wolverhampton. Say their names.
Camille, London. Michelle, London. Chantal, Birkenhead. Nasra, London. Say their names.
Chu, Belfast. Nifan, London. Lindsay, Leeds. Millie, Bournemouth. Say their names.
Catalan, Northampton. Susan, Aberdeen. Emma, Glasgow. And Sandra, Pole. Say their names.
Alexandra, London. Jennifer, Wolverhampton. Zelia, Peterborough. Jane, Burnley. Say their names.
Rebecca, Doncaster. Adele, Liverpool. Anne-Marie, Liverpool. Maria, Bolton. Say their names.
Lynn, Hull. Anna, Shrewsbury. Samantha, Shrewsbury. Samantha, Leeds. Say their names.
Lisa, Fife. Gemma, Ipswich. Tanya, Ipswich. Anneli, Ipswich. Say their names.
Annette, Ipswich. Paula, Ipswich. Katrina, Liverpool. Suzanne, Glasgow. Say their names.
Bonnie, London. Sarah,
Huddersfield. Geraldine, Huddersfield. Claire, Doncaster. Say their names.
Samantha, Stoke-on-Trent. Joanne, Doncaster. Cheryl, Doncaster. Laura, Aberdeen. Say their names.
Andrea, Brighton. Destiny, Kentish Town. Susan, Bradford. Kirsty, Swansea. Say their names.
Shelley, Burnley. Shelley, Bradford. Suzanne, Bradford. Gemma, Battersea. Say their names.
Jenny, Chatham. Louisa, Sutton. Kelly, Bolton. Carol, London. Say their names.
Mariana, Ilford. Bernadetta, Richmond. Georgiana, Coventry. Carolina, Slough. Say their names.
Maria, London. Yvette, Derby. Rivka, Barnet. Floria, Edmonton. Say their names.
Anthony, London. Lydia, Birmingham. Luciana, Falkirk. Christina, Hull. Say their name.
Vanessa, Fulham. Anita, Gerrards Cross. Jennifer, Bournemouth. Maxine, Liverpool. Say their names.
Daria, Leeds. Georgina, Usk. Jessica, Aberdeen. Denisa, East London. Say their names.
Danuta, Skegness. Romina, London. Christina, Sussex. And Leah, Leicester. Say their names.
The names we say today are those that can be named. They were sex workers who were killed in their work. But today we also remember all those who were killed in sex work but who cannot be named because of the shame and the stigma. We remember sex workers who were killed but not in their work, but they were sex workers. Those who died from interpersonal violence, those who committed suicide, those who died of drug overdoses, bad drugs, lack of health care, poverty and need, and those sex workers lost on hazardous migration journeys. We remember all the lost friends, the colleagues and the unknown strangers of our community. We also remember, mourn, all the loss, the grief, the hurt from the violence of the marginalised, criminalised and victimised status of sex workers. We do not distinguish between the just and unjust, the deserving and undeserving. We grieve, mourn and remember them all. Rest in power.
Thank you to everyone who has taken the time to contribute to today's event and for their work as sex workers and allies, as well as every single person who is out there working towards a world where sex workers are given equal rights as workers, as members of our society and as human beings worthy of love, respect and support. Today we renew our fight and our mission to end all violence against sex workers. Physical violence, psychological violence and structural violence. The names we have read today form just a small part of the harms that sex workers face across the world. The exclusion of sex workers from policy making, the criminalisation of their safety, the additional barriers faced by sex workers of colour, migrant workers, workers with disabilities, queer and trans workers, and the denigration of those who are living in poverty or otherwise marginalised. We cannot allow this to continue. To every sex worker out there, please take care of yourself and each other today. To everyone watching this right now, now is the time to do better. In light of the current pandemic and the dire situations that many are in, let's work together to ensure that no more sex workers die at the hands of predators or due to ill-informed policies or exclusionary politics. Commit to listening to sex workers and uplifting their voices. Refuse to be silent in the face of injustices committed against them. Work alongside us to eliminate the social conditions and the harmful policies that limit them, place them in danger and exclude them from areas that will allow them to make meaningful change. Do so with strength, compassion and integrity. From all of us at National Ugly Mugs, in love, power and solidarity.
you.